5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How's it going, everyone? This is Frankie Cavone, and we are live again from the office. Thank you for listening to Kinda Live, Kinda Living podcast, and from the office, where you can find it right on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, live on YouTube like you're watching right now, and even on Facebook. I'm here with a very, very special guest that I haven't seen in a while. Donald Brooklyn Hyman. How you doing?
I'm okay. What's the password?
The password is Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, yay.
So Donald does a lot of great. Do you like Don or Donald?
As long as you know me, you can go whatever you want to. You're good.
So Donald does a lot for the community in the city of Albany. He's a teacher. I first met him at Albany's Alive at 5 concert series that happens during the summer every Thursday at 5 o'clock. And I'm just happy that our universes have crossed, and it's just great to see you again. How's everything been since the impact of COVID?
Everything is everything. I mean, if we go back to like January, February, and March 13th would be Friday 13th. That was the last day in school, and it didn't really affect me until, because when we first told the school was going to be closed for a week or 2 weeks, we were always under this impression that we would, at some point, we're going back in the near future. We didn't realize that it wasn't going to be Easter, it wasn't going to be by Mother's Day, and the rest of the year was gone. And so gradually getting used to that, and at the same time, the kind of schedule that I kept, it was like somebody that had all these plugs in them, and then you start slowly taking them out, and I'm like, wow, this is everything. I've never been without something to do all the time. So I slowly got used to it, and I think the person who really helped me a lot was the director of the Essence of Acting that I belong to in New York City, and she started doing rehearsals for different things and monologues on I would be in my kitchen with my little phone, she'd be in Pennsylvania, the other actor would be in Jersey City, and we'd be rehearsing a scene in my kitchen. And somehow doing that was enough to keep me focused and not really be aware of well, at some point we would be into Zoom meetings, because that's what she introduced us to, and it would become a part of the new norm for us. And I gradually got used to it, and everybody, wearing the mask, everybody else got used to it, and so I didn't let it break my spirit for no reason at all. I've been through a lot of stuff that's much worse than this, and being here is a blessing, and I look at it that way, and a gift. So for me to cry because of this, never. I'm going to get stronger. And if I can help other people along the way while we're going through this together, then so be it. Or should, as the Beatles used to say, let it be.
Let it be. And you hit on a couple solid points. Number one, the downtime. How was that for you to? How did you fill your time up other than the monologues? Did you find downtime to be something that maybe influenced you to create projects? Or because that adds to a lot of stress and depression, is not being able to fill your time, and like you said, adaptation to the current norm, and not just thinking in the past. What was the things that got you through?
Well, I'm a busy person, so within the limitations, there were things that I could do. I made sure I had a lot of books, and I made sure, like, okay, I want to read this, but I don't feel like reading. I read enough, I got mountains of CDs. Let me go get some more CDs, some more jazz.
There you go.
Okay, so, and then you would have to ask this question, because my formula may be helping somebody else. Coffee. I always used to drink Bustelo, which is Puerto Rican coffee, because it's strong, and I have the strainer and everything. I put the hot water on it, And then I have, like, in my cabinet now, I must have like 12, 15 different types of coffee from like Ethiopia and Kenya and Tanzania and Germany and Hawaii. And my thing is, like, every day when I got up, I would try a different coffee. You know,
Oh, cool.
or colognes. Instead of one kind of cologne, I got like maybe 25 different kinds of cologne. So every day I do a different cologne, or shoes. I'm not going to wear the same. So I kept myself creative in that sense. And then when I had downtime, I said, well, I always got these good stories that I want to talk to and tell about people. So I'm going to actually sit down and write. So I got into my computer.
That's awesome.
And I managed to crank out about 5 or 6 good pieces that, you know, because part of when you're really into writing, when I was in graduate school, it's you write the first thing. It's like a painter when he sketches something, and then it's the revision and going back into it, reading, because you hear something and you see something that you didn't see the first time, so you got to be able to train yourself to do that. You know, like you hear about people that they can get a hit record on the first take. You know, that's luck. That's luck. It takes work and editing and patience and revision to get it to the point where not just what you hear, but somebody else hears your voice when you write it down.
Right.
So I hope to get some. I'm not into like I want to get a Pulitzer Prize or a Nobel Prize, whatever. But I do hope to get it out there, because these are some stories based on some of the events that I've had in my life, and believe me, it's been a wonderful life. But there's been some interesting some valleys and some mountaintops too. So
That's great. I mean, you know, life throws you everything, and that's the thing, is how you deal with the situation. And just going with your writings, I mean, something that I really admire about you is that you're multi-talented. You can sing. I didn't know it, but you can write. You are one of the most friendliest people I've ever met.
Until okay. As far as the singing goes, tell Motown about that. But anyway, I am. I tend to have a good vibration along that way, you know, to attract good people. You know, to me, it's like, why should we walk around with anger and hate and fear and doubt in our hearts and spirit and project that onto somebody else? You know, let's live today. Let's enjoy today. You know, where we're at those festivals. That's what that's all about, and it's a good place to enjoy it. So, you know, I try to carry it on, because it's sort of like what that does to you, like those concerts and stuff. It's like charging your phone. You know, you go to those concerts, yeah, baby, I'm having a good time, you know, and then you're okay for about a week or two, and you got to get another one in, you know.
Got to get another one, yeah.
Yeah, you know, but that's life, you know. Not just life, but it's the good life that we have something like Live at 5, Albany Riverfront Jazz Festival, which is one of the best jazz festivals in the country. I've been to others.
Really?
Yes, because the way that they organize it, so that you don't have 10 trumpet players or 10 blues people. They get a variety of different types of acts, and then they build up to the headliner. And so the people that come there are really jazz fans. You know, they dig. They could tell you the albums. They could tell you the names. Sometimes you get people there that played with some people or whatever. And it's like one of the things I observed here, that you had this wonderful oasis in the capital region. Don't get me wrong. I love SPAC. And I love what they do there. You get a lot more people from outside of the capital region that will come to that. But in terms of a really solid, good jazz festival where you got food and people that are into the music, and you know, it's one of the ones that I look forward to the most. I mean, there's usually Live at 5 is lots of fun. I dig it. There's always 1 or 2 acts that I really want to see, like the reggae show, or maybe they'll bring some of the oldies people back, like they had Hermits. I wasn't really digging that, you know, because as a kid you listen to Mrs. Brown, you got a lovely door, and here's this. I'm opening the door for this guy, and he's like, "Thank you much, bloke." Okay? I was like, "That's him," you know.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
It's not about saying that we're here and we don't have anything to offer, because we have a lot to offer.
Yes.
I mean, I go to the Charlie Parker Jazz Festival in Tompkins Park in Greenwich Village.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're really into jazz, and they're from New York, and they know this guy, and they got albums, and they met this one and everything. But, you know, when you take away all of that and you got, what we have is real. It's very humble.
It's not only humble and real, but it's diverse, too. Like you said, you go to an Alive at 5 throughout the year, throughout the summer, there's a spread of genres. each music festival, like Lark Festival has its own unique flavor.
Yeah.
Pearl-Palooza has its own unique flavor.
Yeah.
Alive at 5 has such a wide variety. And even just, the jazz, I kind of wish, I can't wait till things get back to normal, because I've never been to a jazz festival, but...
I have withdrawal symptoms.
But how did you get into working these festivals here in Albany?
You would have to ask. Okay.
I gotta ask.
All right.
And just so people know, so when they're out there seeing the next Alive at 5, they know to say hello to Brooklyn, and they know the password.
You would have to say
Can't give it. Might have to change the password after this one.
Oh, you're funny. As quietly as this kept, I just was waiting at the bus stop on Central Avenue, and a lady was waving to me in the car, and it was Dottie Dak. And Dottie Dak, when I started doing that like 16 years ago, she was in charge of it. She was the big person. And underneath her was Sue Cleary, and Maura Gannon, and Lauren Pierce. And the first one I worked was Little Anthony and the Pierce were coming to the Tulip Fest. And I found I went volunteered, and the next thing I know was like, boom, you can do it. I'm like, well, I've had experience working backstage because I want to do that. I'm like, I can get close to the stars. And they were like, okay, cool in the gang. And Maura, after that weekend, Maura was so impressed. She was telling me, we need help at the Live at 5 and this thing and that thing. And so we could do this, that. And Maura, I could still see her riding on her golf court. And after a while, Maura, Lauren, Sue, and all of them became like, really, it was like a team that I was gifted to be working with, right? Which is why I still know them today. And the next thing that happened was I was working at the Albany Institute of History and Art on a project called Reflections. Mary Wilson of the Supremes brought her gowns and everything there. And I got an opportunity to be part of the community features, or whatever call it, the community table, whatever, because I had some of the albums, the original Supremes albums, and so they did an article. They interviewed me and thing and that thing. Because I'm like some people Beatles fans or Mets fans. I'm a Supreme fan from way back when. So I had no idea in the world to this day that I would get to meet this lady, and. Maura Gannon told me that Mary Wilson was going to be doing a concert for Live at 5. So I knew I had to work that night. And yes, I did get to meet her. Yes, I did give her copies of my articles. And yes, about a month later, I get this big envelope from Las Vegas. I don't know nobody in Las Vegas. Frank Sinatra didn't know more. Sammy Davis Jr. didn't know more. And I opened it up, and this big poster, she signed it to me. She dated it.
Mary Wilson did?
She did.
Really?
2 of them. And then... she's a picture of herself, and very nice. And I had those posters in my house, and I was like, you need to do something. So when you come in my foyer now, when you walk in, they've been framed in there on the wall and it's signed. And I had 2 of them. The second one I donated to Ambition Restaurant in Schenectady.
I don't think so.
It's kind of a themed restaurant where they have everybody like rock and roll, Elvis and all of them. It's like right in the J Street little area there.
Oh, okay. I know the general area. Yeah.
So people from OSM took pictures of me donating it to them. I had that one and something else it was a Billie Holiday poster that I had. So I said, because I don't want it to just get into dust and get lost. But that began a legacy where the other volunteers, we had our certain areas, and we get to know each other. And then I think you might have attended. One of the beautiful things was they treated us like royalty when it came to the Volunteers Appreciation Party, because we would go to Martell's, the golf course, and it would be catered, and then the theme would be costume parties.
Oh, that makes it really fun.
It was a lot of fun, and we had a DJ and the whole bit. I remember I had one costume, because that was the thing too. I don't care what nobody says about Mayor Jennings. He is the cleanest, coolest cat in the world. I mean, I told him to his face, you dress like nobody else can, and I want to be like you when I grow up. This guy is sharp. It'd be 900 degrees outside. He looked like he stepped off the cover of GQ magazine.
No way.
I said, I got to be like you when I grow up. I had to tell him. But he was there, and I had found a Dick Tracy outfit in a thrift shop, and I said, one of these days I'm going to use this. So I went in this yellow Dick Tracy outfit. We had some other people that were Batman and Robin and the Joker. We took pictures together. So it was that type of and of course, the people like Sue and Moore and all of them, they would be there too, helping and serving and so and so. And then eventually evolved into Tommy Nietzsche. Oh, I love Tommy. Tommy's great.
What does Tommy do?
Tommy used to be like a volunteer person.
Okay.
And he like yeah, but he had the comedy club too. The one on the state room. Then I remember one time we had a volunteer appreciation party at on Northern Boulevard. It was the comedy club over there, Comedy Works. Now it's a Dunkin' Donuts. But he has the Comedy Works up in Saratoga,
Right on Broadway.
Yeah, but if I see Tommy, of course Tommy's from Brooklyn. If I see him now, I was like, I always honored to see him because working with him, he was the one who said, well, you volunteers, we're going to do Larkfest. He used to produce Larkfest. Okay. So he would just take us over there and we Larkfest and treat us like royalty, And when you have these kind of experiences, you're blessed to get up each morning to have that, to be able to share and deal with all these people that are taking you to another level. And it warms my heart, even just thinking about it, talking about it now. If I just saw Dottie Dak a minute ago, meeting her 16 years ago, and big Motown fan, and we were supposed to have a show with the Temptations and Martha and Vandel's on Mother's Day at Tulifest. It rained like dogs and cats that day. They decided to give the Mother's Award over in the lake house. Dottie said, come on down. By this time I had the CDs and all the pictures and the albums that I wanted Martha to sign, right? Yeah. I jumped on the back of this golf court. Dottie's like, it's raining, cats and dogs. And so they went on stage and did something a cappella. And on their way out the door, I screamed, please, Martha. And she signed autographs and I got pictures with her and everything like that. So how could you not know that you're in a situation where you've gotten an opportunity to meet people that that you've always wanted to meet or see, and
definitely
have mementos. So Live at 5,
and how accessible it is. You would think that wow, this is a whole nother pedestal of where these people sit, but then it's by doing something proactive with the community of music and just Albany, that pedestal just gets that much lower for you to feel like, okay, my role is just as important as this next guy. We work as a team, and this is benefiting a greater cause.
I like your analysis, and you should ask me how did I have the personality fit into this.
So, Donald, how does the personality fit into this?
Okay, let's go back. I knew eventually we were going to get to Brooklyn, right?
Eventually,
all
yes.
Right. So, I am from Brooklyn. I grew up in Crown Heights, and that's the best part of Brooklyn to be in, because I grew up there. And it's like the cultural community of Brooklyn. We have the Brooklyn Museum, the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens, Grand Army Plaza Library, and Prospect Park, and they're all right next to each other on the same block, right? And Eastern Parkway was one of the first boulevards that Frederick Olmsted built. And so when I came to Albany and I went to Washington Park, he also built that one. I thought I was in Prospect Park again. I didn't realize the connection. Anyway, so Crown Heights is interesting because the streets are named after upstate New York. So we never come to upstate New York because in Brooklyn, when you say somebody's upstate, you mean click, 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 they're incarcerated. The word, when you say, oh, he's upstate, that means they're in jail because all the jails are upstate.
Okay.
So for a New York person, the city person, to go beyond Bear Mountain, we don't even know what's up there. That's like Columbus going across, the world. The world is round. It's not round. It's New York City. That's the world. That's the way they think. Okay. Anyway, so living in Brooklyn with all that culture and stuff around, we sort of as kids walked around and we would go into these things. They're there, and as you get older, you appreciate them even more. But the 70s, when I was about in high school, you're supposed to ask me where did I go to high school.
So Brooklyn, where'd you go to high school?
Ready for this? Okay. I went to junior high school and high school in what's known as Bensonhurst in Brooklyn. And Crown Heights is now a very large Caribbean community. Back then it was very, very multicultural with whites and African Americans and people from Caribbean background. Now it's predominantly Caribbean, but and Hasidic. But back then it was like that. So our school we got bused out to Bensonhurst. It was less congested or whatever, and a brand new school. So we were like turned on. Yeah, everything's new. We're gonna go. And when I got there, it was like the first. All of our classes when I went to school from 1 to 5 were always multiracial. Okay. But when I got to Bensonhurst, I was like maybe 1 or 2 people in the classroom, and all my other classmates were Sal and Vinny and Vito and Dominic and Nick. So most of my high school friends were Italian American or Jewish, as well as my African American friends. But it really put me in a situation where I got a chance to see not everybody in New York lives in Crown Heights, and that in itself changed the dynamic of who I am and what I am in my life, even to this very day. We had the high school I went to, Lafayette High School, was one of the best high schools in the city, and a lot of my teachers had gone to Brooklyn College. So the highlight of that was going to the 11th grade when they filmed The French Connection, that movie.
Oh, I've never seen it.
Well, they filmed it across the street from me, the Marlboro Projects. They used the overhead trains. Gene Hackman was in it. And so we would cut classes and go see them filming the movie because they really like making a movie.
Cool.
So when people ask me, who's it? The picture went to my school. The name will come back to me. I think it was Sandy Koufax went to the school.
Baseball player?
The baseball player.
Oh, yeah, okay. L.A. Dodgers.
And
Brooklyn Dodgers. Yeah.
Vic Damone, the singer, actually went to my high school. And so it was a time when I was going there where it was post Woodstock, but kids were into like Grand Funk Railroad and Sly and the Family Stone, and all the brothers had afros out there. I had to turn to the side to get in the door. That's how big and platform shoes and bell bottoms,
Yeah.
And all the white kids had like long hair because it was like the rock bands that but everybody was like going through a hippie phase. That's when we were. This is when you were allowed to wear jeans and sneakers to school. Before that, one time we could wear sneakers was when we had gym, and by the time we got in the 70s, they relaxed the dress code. So I always remind my students today that because of us, So anyway, I get out of high school and I'm going to go to Brooklyn College, and I get my first job, and I like theater and stuff like that. My first job, a friend of mine, his brother worked at Brooklyn Academy of Music as an usher. So he says, you can get a job as an usher there. So I said, let's go. And I went and put my application in. And then I said, let me call and find out. Because my mother calls me a look and find. I don't just look for something. I'll keep looking until I find it.
Right.
So I called them back and I said, I got a good idea what I'm going to do. I'm going to call them back and I'm going to use a British accent. And I said, hello. My name is Donald Hyman, and I'm calling to require, if you have got my application, I've put in an application to be an usher, and would you please check and give me a call back? Or otherwise, I'll call you back. And so they said, okay. And so they called me and said, oh yeah, you can come on in tonight. And when I showed up, they're like, oh, you're Donald Hyman? And I was like, yes, merry old chap, how are you today?
Did you catch them off guard?
They were cool about it. And so in that environment of Brooklyn Academy of Music, it was theater, music, classical music. Harry Belafonte came to the Royal Shakespeare. I got to meet him and some of the actors from the Sting, Robert Reed. It was an environment where you're meeting actors and musicians and artists all the time. And you're not just seeing them on TV and everything. And I'm like saying, this is something I'd like to do at some point in my life because, even though some of these people don't make a lot of money, at least they found what it is that they're supposed to do and their purpose. As they say in French, their raison d'être, their reason to be, So I was very impressed. And of course, I would always be watching the kind of clothes they wear because they would have stuff on, like, people that would be from England, they'd have on just the right shoes or just the right hat, they'd tip to the side, Wow, that's cool, So I worked at BAM, and then I was going to Brooklyn College. I worked in BAM as an usher. Then they moved me up to promotion. slowly but surely you're moving up. Yes, I'm moving up. And then I just got this bug that I was at Brooklyn College and I wasn't seeing the world, you know. And so I had taken my test for the Air Force the year before. I went back and took it again. And I decided I'm going in. Hey, woke up the next day in basic training. They're hollering, get downstairs, get downstairs. What have I done to myself? But it turned out to be one of the best events of my life. And I see the benefits of it still today because I'm a veteran. You know, last week was Veterans Day. And
Happy Veterans Day, by the way.
Hold your horses. You're funny. Applebee's, Chili's, my favorite Olive Garden, and Texas Roadhouse. And we used to have a big celebration over at Golden Corral. And these are the people that I usually buy gift cards from because they give that free dinner to the veterans every year. So I get my little map, train my stomach, and go hit each one of them because I had to wait a whole year to do that again. But the military, when I went in like in the 70s, was great because we were still in Vietnam. And
were you over in Vietnam?
No. That's another story. I was in, and a year after I was in, we came out of Vietnam. So technically, I get all the I get all the benefits of a Vietnam era veteran. You know, you have Korea era veteran.
Yep.
So it worked for me, and I lived in San Antonio, Texas, for 2 years. I had my own apartment there with a swimming pool and tennis court and girls. I'm telling you, man, out there, it's like you meet some of the most beautiful women that you ever met. You're like 18 and 19, you know, and it's like I had so many friends that fell in love and got married, and I was telling them, look, man, this is only April. I got to go through May, June, July. You know, it wasn't an insecurity thing. It was just a matter of me getting into the location and the culture. Another thing about the San Antonio culture is that in New York City, when I left, we were into FM music. You know, we had a soul station that was FM, and we were listening to like the Stylistics and Teddy Pendergrass. You know, all these. I'd like to someday be the owner of the first house. You know. And you know, a nice mix. In fact, it was the most popular station in New York City.
Was it really? Okay, I never heard of it.
WBLS at that time. It's still around. It combined with the hip hop station because you know the digits weren't going. Anyway, so when I got to San Antonio, they had a soul station. Don't get me wrong, and I found it, but it was the AM, and I just couldn't get used to listening to the AM sound. So they had.
It is quite different.
Yes, especially when you listen to FM. So they had FM stations that were mostly rock, which was, like I say, when you stay in one particular category, you limit yourself, not especially when there's other stuff available. So as a result of listening to the FM stations, I got more. I always liked rock music. There's no problem there, but I really listened to Led Zeppelin and Stairway to Heaven, and Joe Cocker, and groups like the Eagles and ZZ Top and Linda Ronstadt were very popular at that time, and the Doobie Brothers. All right. So when these bands would come to town, you know, from the base, we would get like a group of people. I remember a group of us drove in somebody's car, about 9 of us, to go to what was then the new stadium for the San Antonio Spurs. They had just started. They were like
They just started.
They hadn't won no awards or nothing, but this is where the concerts would be. We went to see the Allman Brothers.
Oh man!
And the reason we went to see it was because this is when Greg Allman was going with Cher. We wanted to see Cher. Cher was a stone fox back in those days, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Well, anyway, she was fierce, and all those guys were hoping. They said they had a special guest in the audience. And guess who it was? Willie Nelson.
No way.
Willie Nelson came on stage and sang with them. But where we lived at in San Antonio, it was called Bexar County, and he had his own spread there. So every 4th of July, he would have this big party where he'd invite Chris Christopherson and all these other different musicians that he knew that they would come down here. And San Antonio was very much still part of Mexico. In fact, you were only like about 40 minutes from Mexico. So the food. You got a lot of for the first time. You got a lot of enchiladas, burritos, tacos, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I've never eaten that in my life. I'm like Frank's, Knishes.
So there wasn't a lot of
that.
Spanish Mexican food in Brooklyn at the time.
Not if you wanted to find a Mexican restaurant, like you went to Manhattan, you could find a Mexican restaurant because everything's there. But my most introduction to Caribbean food would be through like my Puerto Rican friends or my Dominican friends.
Yeah.
Okay, and they don't do tacos and burritos. Okay, but Mexican food is refried rice. It's
fried beans. Yeah.
It's a sleeping pill, baby. Okay, because we would
that.
have it and go back to work and bang, I'm out of it. That. And that tequila. Lord.
Don't forget the lime.
Lord. I was in the swimming pool with all my clothes on behind that tequila. I don't mess with none of that stuff. But I was young then,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting older, but I don't use that. I'm getting better.
Getting better.
So that takes care of some of the interesting things.
But so now you're in San Antonio, Texas. How is the culture different?
In San Antonio?
Yeah. And do you have did the military with the military, do you still have friends from that period of time?
Not anymore. And I've tried to locate some of them. Okay, this is a sad story. My best friend Mike was from Vermont. He's the coolest white cat I've ever met in my life, other than you.
Oh, stop.
But when we both were in tech school together, right? And we both went home. He went to Vermont, whatever. And he had never met anybody African American from New York City, so he was fascinated by me. I said, hey, and we just became close, good buddies the whole time we were there, And we both worked in administration, and so we would like have, yeah, man, yeah, we gotta go to this meeting, States, good partners, good friends, Another partner from Detroit. I went to visit him in Detroit on my. We went to Toronto for like a weekend. He always said, "If you come to Detroit, let's go to Toronto." I went to Detroit. His family was like, I guess they must have known Barry Gordy or Motown or something. They were living large. His brother's like a doctor. His other brother's a psychologist, and his uncle ran this motel in Detroit. The No-Tell Motel, with the bulletproof glass you can see in. And he said, I got to go back to work and then we're going to hang out. I said, yeah. And these people would come in there. Is this a family show?
It's a show for everybody.
They would come in there and the guy was like, 1 hour? Yeah. And then you see this guy standing there, look like he just got his social security check. This young chick standing over there smoking a cigarette. Tell him to give you another hour.
Oh my God!
So
that's why they call it the No-Tell.
The Detroit was wide open. And the other thing that freaked me out was I never seen so many Cadillacs in my life, and I'm a Cadillac man. These were Eldorados and in every color. I guess you can get them cheaper or used or whatever in Detroit. The other thing was, I'm always Motown starstruck. So my partner drove me over to what's known as Sherwood Forest. And it's a gated community. I don't know how he got into it, but he said, there's Smokey Robinson's house, there's Gladys Knight's house, Stevie Wonder used to live over there. I'm like,
wow.
It's like being in
Chuck
Hollywood.
Berry, he's a Detroit guy, right? Or no? Or...
Chuck Berry's from St. Louis.
Oh, he's St. Louis.
And
okay.
he used to have a lot of clubs there. In fact, when you went to St. Louis, they always try to get you to go to his club and buy food and everything like that. Yeah.
No
Chuck,
way.
Chuck Berry's a legend and a poet. All of these hip hop cats need to listen to Chuck Berry. Up in the morning and off to school, teachers teaching the golden rule. American history and practical math, studying hard and hoping to pass. Okay, ring ring goes the bell. The cook in the lunchroom's ready to sell. Okay, now this is in the 50s, and you can look at teenage life and write it down in a beautiful way. And not just do it one time. You can do it like 10, 15 different times. So like people like the Beatles or the Rolling Stones, a lot of these British groups. They liked his guitar playing, but they also liked the fact that he was a poet. And then the connection to San Antonio, and then from there I went to Fairbanks, Alaska when they were doing the... this is always a good conversation for my students. When they were building the pipeline. And all you had to do basically is like deal with my students. I tell them about when we deal with geography, I tell them about getting there and it was 24-hour sunlight. Yeah. So they said, well, how do you go to sleep? I said, that's the same thing I asked those guys. I said, if it doesn't get dark here, how do you go to sleep? You know what they told me? Oh, you'll go to sleep, you know. And they have these black curtains in everybody's room that you pull down. I worked, here we go again. I worked in recreation specials. I handled a bowling alley, the NCO club where all the entertainers like the coasters would come through. Here we go again. And the baseball teams and stuff like that. So one day they said, Airman Hyman. And I said, sir? He said, we need you to go up to the ski lodge and find out if there's any power. There's going to be a birthday party there tonight. I said, sir? And so I got the car. You know, because ain't nobody around. I can drive like I want to, you know. And I get up there to the lodge and I go in and I turn the radio on and like, burn, baby, burn, disco and burn. I said, yeah, we're going to have a party tonight. And we went to this birthday party and they pulled down all these curtains and it's dark inside, you know, like a dark room. And like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning we get out and it's bright as day. And we're driving back to the base. And we had to stop the car to let a group of moose go by. I said, baby, I sure ain't in Brooklyn now. You know, it was like double rainbows and things like that you would see, or the Aurora Borealis, like up in a plane, and the plane pilot turns off the lights, and you feel like you're in a lava lamp. You know what I mean? You know, I tell my students about that, but at the same time, I can get them into like a geography lesson.
Oh, okay. So you're taking points, and this is something we're going to talk about, is that you are involved with teaching, but you're taking those points and making it relatable, making it fun for the kid to learn about the specific area, which being in the forces has helped you kind of explore the United States and the world. So I got to ask, was there any other life lessons you learned through being in the forces?
In the military?
In the military,
United States Air Force? Yeah. I didn't see the doors at that time that were going to open because, you know, you have some really rigid, strict rules. And there's a hierarchy, a pecking order, you know. And, for example, how can I put it? When you go into the when you go into the cafeteria in your basic training or whatever, you know, you have to salute the mirror before you sit down to eat. You know, all these little psychological things that can, if you're not ready for it, it can do the job on your head. Or you're walking down the street like now. Now, if you walk down the street and you see somebody, you say hi to them, right? Maybe if you do, you don't. In the military, you're walking down the street and somebody's got bars on their officer. You better salute them, okay? Or you might be going to jail. They don't play when it comes to that military.
Etiquette?
Yes, they mean business. And you're talking about, you know, leaving 2 weeks before I got in the military. I was going to every disco in New York City, you know, and I had Elton John rose-colored glasses and platform shoes. So all of this is coming at me like, wow. I was loving meeting the people. I was loving being in the location. That's another interesting thing. You're in Texas, and Christmas you're sitting around a swimming pool with other friends because it's not cold and snowy.
That could be pretty strange.
It was strange. So, you know, a lot of people want other people's lives because they're celebrities and they travel and everything. But you've got to deal with stuff like going through different time zones and different weather zones, you know, and if your body can't adjust to adapt to it in a certain amount of time, it's not even about the money, you know. You can become very disoriented very fast. But as far as the military goes, when I got out, I went back to Brooklyn College, and it was interesting because I couldn't relate to any of the students there that were like my age. I would see a couple of them, and they would say, "You in the service?" And they would ask me about Alaska. And as soon as I started talking, "Oh, I gotta go," you know, they never really wanted to learn about it. The only people I could relate to and I formed a bond with, ready? This is what I'm saying. You asked me how does it? Were the veterans. We had a veterans organization. We had a veterans office. They had part-time jobs for veterans on campus. So that was important for me then to make my way into being a veteran because I realized the opportunities that were available. One of my veteran friends said to me, you know, you're a broke college student. You know, you're sitting here waiting for your GI Bill monthly. You get your pay once a month and, you know, trying a part-time job here and then. He says, take your DD-214. That's the paper we get when we get out to prove that we were in the military, stamped and everything. He said, go to any government facility in the New York area and you can get a job. And I was like, okay, yeah, because I'm always ready to get kicked out of my house, you know. So I went to Fort Hamilton Army Base, and sure enough, I got hired, and I was working at Fort Hamilton Army Base in transportation with other veterans. And then from there, I got another job at Brooklyn Navy Yard. I was transferring because I was getting, they have levels like GS3, 4, 5. It goes up to 20s and whatnot. But each level is a higher pay grade. So if you just there's one guy I knew who came out of the military in Korean War 50s. He was a GS3. He stayed at GS3, and all he did every year was get an increase. Like he was like GS, to the highest level, and he wouldn't take off. But one day, Wednesday, Sammy would go to Roseland for the dance thing, But I saw the opportunity to go. If there was a 4 available, I would apply for it. If I got it, I'd buy. I'm out of here. And as a veteran, I began to realize that I had these opportunities that my friends didn't have. They couldn't do that, I worked at Brooklyn Navy Yard. From Brooklyn Navy Yard, an opportunity came up to get a 5 at the U.S. Coast Guard. I worked at the U.S. Coast Guard for a year. An opportunity came up for me to get a 6 for the federal courts. I got that, and I stayed at the federal courts for about 12 years. And
so 4, 5, 6, these are different levels of
government
your way
service.
up the totem pole. Almost.
Yeah, as a
there's like in a state building almost.
Similar to that, very
okay.
similar type of system. But along the way, I had these college credits, and people. There's a woman who told me, a Trinidadian woman. She said to me, "One of these days, you're going to find somebody that because they have a degree, they're going to be over you, and you might have been there 15 years, and just because you got a paycheck, you're going to be content with it." She said, "Go back and get your degree." And I was like, yeah. A week later, this person, I hated them. They had all the, younger than me. They had the degree and everything, and giving me orders, and I knew what to do. They didn't know what to do. I hated it, but it motivated me. I wish she could have given me the 6 winning lottery numbers the way she predicted that. Because I was right around the corner from St. Francis College, and I transferred all my credits over there. And then I finished there, and when I finished, I went directly into Long Island University Graduate School for Urban Planning. And I did that, and before I came out, I said, well, I already had a license for substitute teacher in New York City. I said, let me go ahead and get a teaching license. And I got a license as a New York City social studies teacher. And that worked out well. My friends were like, what are you still sitting here for? Go out and get a job. Go out and get a job. And I always got 7th graders. That was, the worst in the world you could think of. But anyway, so one of the reasons I came into this area because I found out at a teaching fair that you could make just as much money in other places as a teacher without all the hassle that just living in New York is. I had a condo apartment, which I had bought. That was interesting to say the least. In Crown Heights, of all places. It was interesting because the condo building, because in Crown Heights, one of the largest parades in the United States is the West Indian Day Parade. And if you ever get a chance to see it, they have some videos online. I think I'll send you a link. You probably get a kick out of this. But all of the islands put on a massive carnival with there's 1 million people there. And it's on Eastern Parkway. So I lived on Union Street off of Utica Avenue and Eastern Parkway. Oh, that's what I was supposed to tell you. The neighborhood I lived in Crown Heights. We watched this. I lived on Union Street. And when we grew up, I lived on Union Street between Albany and Troy. And then my friends lived on Union Street between Troy and Schenectady. And then we knew people that lived between Schenectady and Utica. And then when I bought my condo was on Union Street between Utica and Rochester. Wow. And then you go one more street over and it's Buffalo. And so all the streets that we knew growing up were named after upstate cities. So when I came up here and I went to Schenectady and Troy and Albany, I would take pictures of it and send it to my friends back in New York City. I said, I'm here,
that must have been fun. Do you think that had any play into the reason why you came up here? Or?
No, not necessarily. It was my first choice was Kingston actually, but then I realized that I had worked for the federal government. I worked for the state. I did for like with 10 years, I was a supervisor for civil service testing. That was my money to go to the Caribbean every summer, to Puerto Rico and Guadeloupe and the Dominican Republic and Barbados. You know, that was my get. People in New York City, the Caribbean is their background. Like people in California, Hawaii, and Acapulco is their background. So we go to the Caribbean quite a lot. And that's what I would do. I would have these little extra jobs and save up my money and pay for my tickets. Where am I going to go? I didn't go with deal, you know. And so the big carnival in Brooklyn, which you must see once in your life, is unbelievable. It's massive, and you could not believe how creative the people in that community are. It's so important that people like Hillary Clinton or Bill de Blasio, they want to be in charge of the parade. And they've had people like the Fugees. Remember the Fugees with Lauryn Hill?
I feel like I've heard of the Fugees.
Yeah, ooh, la la la. The Fugees are killing me softly with his song. I heard he sang a good song. I know.
Maybe.
I just got to say Biggie or Jay-Z to you, and you're okay.
No,
and those are Brooklyn guys too.
I know. I love that era of music a lot, and I think it has a lot of just a lot of influence on the type of music I listen to, just like
they sample everything.
Yeah, I mean, when you listen to a jam band, there's a lot of funk, there's a lot of soul.
Yeah.
And I mean, I haven't gone back and listened to everything, but the Meters, I love.
The Meters.
The Meters are one of my favorites from the era, and obviously Stevie Wonder.
And we had him in Live at 5.
Yeah, and we had him in Live at 5. That I didn't say hello to.
To Neville.
To Neville and what is the bassist's name? He's one of the most legendary bassists of all time. Glasses, short hair.
They're from that Nolans crew.
Yeah, the Nolans crew. Yeah. They're one of the most underpaid bands ever. They were playing with the Rolling Stones, opening up for the Rolling Stones, but yeah, I love that genre of music. And to be honest, I as much as I love hip hop, I definitely love traditional instruments. But I listen to everything.
Do you play?
I play guitar.
Now you're telling me. Look at this, guitar. A ringer.
It's one of my favorite things.
Jimi Hendrix's little brother over here. All right.
So I want to give a shout out to Kyle Frisbee for just saying that he's really happy to have you on and learn about you. And that he's really disappointed in me in not knowing the Fugees.
Ooh, okay.
So burn.
I think you know the Fugees, but you're probably thinking of like the miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Okay.
You know Lauryn Hill now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
well, she was with the Fugees. She was the girl singer that left and came with really big time. You know, and try some of those. Just throw some at me.
So I'm gonna close my eyes.
Okay.
And Donald's got a sheet for me of just some of the...
a cheat sheet, y'all.
Some things I probably would have never known, because the thing is, again, I met you through working in live music. We always talked, and we never really got to know each other, but so having this sheet to pick from is awesome. I am going to drop my finger, 3, 2, 1, and it looks like we're talking about Off-Broadway.
You would have to pick that one, wouldn't you? He picked that one, y'all.
I did.
That one is... I got an opportunity to do an off-Broadway. My first production, there was a girl that was a friend of mine that was going to this college, and we all had spent the day at a thrift shop, and then we went to a vegetarian restaurant in Brooklyn. You could only do that in Brooklyn. And we were on the bus, and we were singing Elton John's I Used to Know This Old Scarecrow, He Was My Hero, you know. And everybody's like listening to us. And she said, "You can sing." I was like, no. Just probably was the Guinness. And so she then introduced me to Guinevere, who was her buddy, because she lived in the village also. These are women that lived in the village. And Guinevere was a producer par excellence, right? And Guinevere ran a club called the Danceteria, which was on like 12th Street and 5th Avenue in Manhattan.
Okay.
Every floor, we need something like that in Albany. Every floor, this was just about at the birth of hip hop. Every floor was a different theme with art, with a lot of graffiti or artists or light shows and dancing and punk music, or maybe then you get the funk music, you know, and then another one is like it was like every floor was a different theme. And you get to the roof, and there was always a party on the roof. Tear the roof off, tear the roof off, you know. And so I was managing a group of breakdancers called the Fresh Team, and they lived in my neighborhood. And the reason I knew them is because one of the breakdancers, who's an NYPD now, he was on. I used to coach Little League baseball for 4 seasons, and when they're at that age, like 9 to 12, they're into that. And then they get out of that and they get into something, go to high school. They get into cars and girls in whatever order that comes in.
Yeah.
So I was able to get the Fresh Team to perform at the Danceteria, and they got free clothes. They made them like jumpsuits I made out of graffiti, and I'm the happy manager, running around. And somehow Velda told her that I wanted to get involved with the theater, and they were getting ready to do this play called Dessalines, which is about the Haitian Revolution. So I said, well, along with going to college, I spent some time at the Parsons School of Design in the Village. I was always fascinated by costumes and the way people dress and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I imagined doing that somewhere, and I had enough up here where if I was given an opportunity to work on a play, I could work with the costumes, which were like 17th century colonial, Napoleon type stuff. And so that was going to be my job. And then they had an opportunity at rehearsal one time for a voodoo priest. And so I said, can I try out for that? And they said, yeah, we need somebody. And I said, okay. So I would and they brought a guy in to teach me how to do the dance, this whole dance company. And we opened it in a art gallery in Soho. And
what a beautiful area, by the way.
It still is, and still kind of uppity. And my first line was, "What pilgrim comes so early to worship?" And I had my accent on and everything. And then, "I'm sorry, she didn't poison Leclerc." So the Village Voice reviewed the play and everything, and the guy that wrote it was he was interesting to say the least. That was my first stop. So you asked about Dessalines, and I played a voodoo priest. Hey. And so
that's I gotta say that's a whole skill in itself. Just acting, and especially acting live. Was it natural to you? Did you feel like you had the confidence built up to do it, or
it was? Remember, for everybody else in the play, they had to just basically do the lines. And let me tell you what happened. Oh God. Everybody else, it was an equity type of thing, or a thing where people who actually were actors were going to get paid really well to do this. And then here comes me, and I had to open the show for them. And they treated me like, what gives this dirt the right to speak?
Really?
And let me tell you something, okay? I was like, that's when Brooklyn came out. And I was like, are we still running?
Yeah, we're still running, yeah.
That's when Brooklyn came out, and I was like, you may not like me, but I have something to tell you. I opened the show, so you better be nice to me, okay? And I meant that, But some of them, I would see they how cliquish they could be. Like you look at their bios and resumes, and yeah, they had been to Europe, and they had done things, and they had been on Broadway, and they had been in films. And little old me, I had been in the Air Force. What could I do? And I had a bunch of nice kids from Brooklyn that wanted to be breakdancers. And did get an opportunity to be in the movie Crush Groove with Curtis Blow and the Fat Boys and Sheila E. And they did a video and stuff like that. But my thing was, I'm here for a reason. I'm sure you didn't all start out at the top. You had to go through what you had to go through to get there. But it was always a reminder to me that if I ever got into something like that, to be humble to people that I work with, and to be humble to the people that I met around me, because it's just like you don't take that and put it on as an armor of humiliation to humiliate or dissolve somebody else, And it was arranged that because they didn't think I was strong enough, that they had a private rehearsal for me to do my part. And I found, like, when I worked in Crown Heights with some of the youth. We did a couple fashion shows, and I was like, okay, let's have a sports scene. Let the kids make that up. I found that when you work with people like that, it's like they get a box, and they open up the box, and inside they find another box, and they open it up, and they get a mirror, and they see themselves. So when I did like 1 or 2 fashion shows with those kids in that community in Crown Heights that never had that opportunity, they were like so glad to have the opportunity to be recognized that, you know, they left there with a new impression, because I said, okay, you always dress like in jeans and sneakers. Let's get you in a fashion show where you put a suit on. But after they got a suit on and they never been in a suit, you know, and tie and shirt and everything, not only are you dressed for success, but you have an image. Okay? And the class you take with you is a class you'll always get. So my Parsons School of Design stuff sort of helped me in terms of like helping people to build up their self-image through dress, you know, because it's very easy to do. Hair, and people that work with hair and dress and stuff like that, they get a lot of bonuses because they're able to enhance people, you know, make them, you know, the before and after. The trick to the before and after is somebody that knows how to make you after, you know.
Right. So with that, okay, so now did that lead you down a path to doing other stuff while in the city?
You would have to ask, wouldn't you? Okay. We started this conversation. Give me a mini timepiece.
So right now we've been chatting for about an hour.
Were you serious?
Yeah, it feels like 10 minutes to me.
Oh
but
my God.
Yeah, it's been about an hour. But you know what?
Oh my God!
I actually do have to ask, not to switch things up again, but when you came up here to upstate New York, what were the biggest differences you noticed right away, other than the geography?
The thing that I noticed the most for me was I immediately got into the arts. I went to a Juneteenth celebration in Schenectady. Juneteenth is a celebration of the end of slavery in America, and with that is music and dance and stuff. And I eventually became a member of the Hamilton Hill Arts Center. So from there, I was told that I could stage manage that whole event for that weekend. This is before Live at 5. And I did all of that, Be My Little Self and I, voluntarily. And it was quite an experience because you work with community people that want to be singers and dancers and actors, and to get them scheduled and put them into time when, oh, well, I'm waiting for this person and that person, and now you got 10 minutes, we got to go. It's all relative.
So being from downstate as well, did you find people to be approachable up here, or was it how were the interactions?
People here were very nice. I mean, it was, how can I put it? Had I relocated when I left New York City to Chicago or LA, right? They wouldn't have known about Coney Island and Nathan's and Knishes and pizza and the Mets and the Yankees. They wouldn't have, or egg creams, you know. Lion Ricky's. I'm giving my age away now.
So it was familiar enough.
It was familiar enough that it was still like New York, and the people here. It was in a week that went by when I first started working in the school system. I was a sub at the different schools, and a week didn't go by that I didn't run into a student that had roots back in the city. Either they were born there, or their uncle. Then when I worked at St. Rose, like a fourth of the students always came from the city. So I said, where my Brooklynite? Where my homies? Yeah, you know. So, and then I would meet people here that relocated here or stayed here because they went to college here. Or so many of the CDTA bus drivers that got roots back in the Bronx or Queens or Brooklyn. So when I talked to them, I never got homesick. And that would have been a big part of, on top of that, the New York State Black and Puerto Rican Caucus happens in February every year. I don't know if it's going to happen this year. But all of these people from different colleges come up here for that weekend from the city, right? And it's like, I don't have to go down there because they come up here. They bring the Caribbean food, they bring the music. And then I run into people like, I have one friend, Carl Andrews, that went to high school, elementary school with me, and he was a senator for like 10 years. He's retired now, right?
Wow.
And when he was one of the first people that I met here, gave me a letter of recommendation to the school district to get me a job, you know. And then I see other people that I knew from different colleges or different points in my life. They're teachers, they got kids, they're grandkids. Or, you know, it's like that. People that I meet here keep me from getting homesick. The people that come up here once a year that I get to see, that keeps me from getting homesick. So I love what I've been able to get into here, and like I say, the arts have consumed my life for the most part. I'll go back to January last year. We did a performance at Cafe Lena.
Beautiful venue up in Saratoga
in
Springs. For
Saratoga.
those who don't know, yeah, Cafe Lena been around for almost 100 years, right? Or
Yes, that's where Bob Dylan and a lot of the guy Don McLean, they wrote Bye Bye American Pie.
Yeah.
He went through there, and they still get big names that go through there.
Yeah,
but we got a chance to perform there. Called Conversations in Freedom, dealing with the Pullman porters in the 20s and how they got a union. And then that Monday I went to BAM, Brooklyn Academy of Music, and since I worked there, they were able to give me VIP treatment with the breakfast and everything. And I ran into some people I knew from Brooklyn back there, and the guest speaker was the lady who did the 1619 project in the New York Times, which dealt with African American history from 1619 when they brought the first 12 slaves to Jamestown, or whatever it was, up until now. And the crowd there was really great, and they had nice entertainment. That was the second time I've gone to that. It's always free on MLK Day, because I've gone to this one here in Albany several times. Actually, I haven't performed at that one, but the first time I went, Danny Glover was the guest speaker, and the Boys Choir of Harlem. So that was my January, and then I was invited to do a winter concert series where I did like some top 40 songs.
yeah.
I'm going back. That's an upcoming thing. I'm definitely going back to that as they're gonna film it as a Zoom thing. February 14th, I am the Valentine's Day show. More Love. I'm gonna do a bunch of Temptation songs, a bunch of Beatles songs. You're gonna get my Frank Sinatra in there, probably some Supremes. Hey, find out when it's gonna be happening on that February 14th. I'm gonna have my tuxedo on, some chocolates over here, and some roses. The Love Man is coming. Hey, let me stop.
So are you bringing your arrow?
I'm putting a little bit of it together because what Smokey Robinson once said, that you can write about politics and you can write about history. He said, but love is eternal.
Yeah.
You can write a love song like My Girl or And I Love Her, and it'll be as current today as it was when they first came out. So love is eternal. February, Albany Institute of History and Art gave me a opportunity to bring my reenactment friends together.
Okay.
I was one of the judges here in this area, and I was the first African American judge to graduate from Albany Law School, as well as New York State. Another friend did Solomon Northrop, the 12 Years a Slave guy up in Saratoga for the movie. Another one of my friends, she did Sojourner Truth. And another one did Moses Viney, who, through Union College, he owned all the land where Proctor's is, and he gave it to the Salvation Army. Anyway, we received a proclamation from the city, and we received an award from a congressional recognition from Senator Paul Tonko. I went to a week in New York City to do a play down there. I stayed in South Street Seaport. My plan was to get up every morning and go to ride the Staten Island Ferry across and listen to jazz. It didn't happen. Every morning you sleep in a nice hotel, everything you've been waited on. So that didn't happen. We came back and we did. I had a week trip with a bunch of students to Washington D.C. I'm an elder in my church, New Covenant Presbyterian Church on Western Avenue.
Okay.
So
I didn't even know.
I was given the opportunity to go to Washington with a group of students. The students were at Weston Church over here, so I met them a week before, and I had to be in charge of them while we were there. So they had their phone numbers, they had mine. They were good kids. They really were good kids. But we went to the National African American Museum. We went to the Capitol, and the thing that I told them that was most impressive to me was the fact that I was part of the group of Brooklyn College veterans that went to Washington, D.C. to march in the parade to dedicate the Vietnam Memorial. And I was chosen to carry the banner with another person, and we marched down Pennsylvania Avenue, and thousands, the soldiers, And then we made this sharp right turn into the field where the memorial was. And when we got there, I never seen in my entire life to this day that many grown men break down and cry. There are 50,000 names on that memorial. And people, when they found their friends' names, it brought back a lot of memories and heartbreaks and tears to them. or their family. That was somebody's brother, that was somebody's cousins, that was somebody's grandson, somebody's nephew, and somebody's friend. And they only exist in that wall in your memory. So I told my students about that, being able to dedicate that and how important it was for us to do that. And I said, today you're watching history come to life. So that was my February. Came back and did a reenactment at the New York State Museum for the Schuyler Mansion. As a former slave at the Schuyler Mansion that was a Cooper, we did that. And come March, I was in Janis Joplin. There was a show called the Janis Joplin Show. My good friend Heidi, she sings just like Janis. And we did all the backup singing. Try just a little bit at Frog Alley. The brand new Frog Alley?
Yeah, that's the thing. I because of all of this, I never even got to go yet.
The Frog Alley is a hot club. We had a live band. I mean, I've worked with my producer. In fact, we're having a Zoom meeting tonight. My producer, Ginger Miller, I did a couple of shows with her over the past 10 years at Proctor's, Hilton Center. We did a blues show at Jupiter Hall.
Yeah.
We did, and guess who was on the bill singing with me?
Who was on the bill?
Madison Vandenberg.
Wow.
Yeah, she was the young lady. She was on her way then. She could play guitar and piano, and she was a great singer. And
how many years before?
It was like a year before she went out and did what she was going to do.
Before she went on American Idol.
We were practicing for one of those shows, the Bible and Music, when she was still in high school. Her and her sister used to come to rehearsal out in Guilderland, and I did my thing. I was singing "Lean on Me" in the show, and she said, "Wow, you're really good. Why aren't you on American Idol or something?" I said, "Baby, I want to be on the Ed Sullivan Show, because back in the day."
That's the show you grew up with.
Ed Sullivan Show was like the show and the pathway for all great entertainers like Sinatra's and everything. So if you were on that show, we were in Vegas after that, and we were in the Copacabana. So I just meant it sarcastically. And so when she went in that direction, I knew she was going to do it, because she was already that good, And part of being that good, remember, she did a lot of those contests to go up there, and the time to get there and to stay with that. You have to be made to do that.
Yeah,
you really do. And then we did the telethon this past January. As a matter of fact, that should have been on there. And she was one of the performers, headliner, and I ran to her. I said, we did the Christmas parade in Schenectady when she was younger, and she was Dorothy, and I was the Wiz, and she and I did ease on down the road, come on in, ease on down. So I knew that she always had it in her, that she could be great.
Yeah,
she is great. I said to her, Madison, you're not being Dorothy today, are you? She started laughing. And I said, my mother loves you, because my mother watched all the shows with Madison on it. And so we took a nice picture, and my mother has it in the living room in Queens.
Oh, that's nice.
So, I mean, that's what I mean about people that I've met in the capital region who are in the arts. It was each relationship was like planting a seed, and then that seed grew.
Yeah.
So, I'll never look back and say that I didn't have a good life, because I've been blessed. And just meeting you, passing through that door, and it brings me here. So all of these are connected to what it is that I'm predestined to do. What am I predestined to do? Let me stop.
So, I mean, you have an incredible life story, and I can already tell we're going to have you back on, because there's so much more that I want to pick off this list, but we're running out of time. I want to know one thing.
What's in the bag?
What's in the bag?
You would have to ask. You get a chance to go ahead.
Okay.
And then we're going to get out of here.
Oh, so we got the proclamation.
I started Jazz Appreciation Month here. Okay. That was from the governor. This is from the mayor of Altamont.
Altamont. Oh, okay. The town, right.
Yeah, the town of Altamont. I went out there several times to do shows for the
awesome,
seniors.
Don.
So they surprised.
The Soul Man.
There's another Donald Hyman. He's African American and he's from Brooklyn. I don't want nobody picking up my check, baby. This is I'm the faculty advisor for the Cosmetology Club at the Brooklyn. They gave me a thank you.
So Soul Man is the original nickname for you.
Yeah, my professional name when I.
That's why I'm gonna start calling you.
And this this was just sent to me this week. It was posted on Facebook. For the National Veteran Creative Arts Festival, I came in third in the nation, singing "Stand By Me," and locally I was first place at the Veterans Hospital.
Wow, that's awesome.
So I mean, I have
this is very nice. So they give this to they only give this to the winners.
The winners. Show it to them. I have like about 20 of those. I performed at the festival in Arkansas and Boston. You go there for a week and you do like a Broadway show, and you stay at a Grand Hotel and they treat you and they take you through the town and everything. So these things are all in my house collecting dust. You asked me to come over, and the guy that stands at the door that says, "What's the password?" and you say, Brooklyn, has all of these emojis.
I mean, you're so multi-talented. I mean, and I gotta say, it's just awesome to hear about like I said, we barely got deep into all the topics we've been talking about, but you're super multi-talented. You do a lot for this community. You mean a lot to me.
The community does a lot for me.
You made it easier for me to go out and be in a situation that could make anybody uncomfortable, and I felt right at home. The first time I ever did a Live at 5, you were the first person I met, first person I got to know by name there. Of course I knew all about the photographers, but you know, for somebody like I wasn't just because I went to school for video production. I wasn't in with just doing the photography, getting to know everybody. I had to break out of my shell, and it was things like that definitely helped me get through and just make it easier the next time I went to another Live at 5, which I miss dearly because I love shooting cons.
Wait a minute, did you say Live at 5?
Yeah, Live at 5.
Hey Ryan, I know you out there somewhere, Ryan Murray.
What's up,
Ryan Murray?
Keith?
What's up? Okay. Hey Keith, I know you watching. Ryan.
I love
Ty, Elaine, Miss Medina. Oh, I love all y'all. I love you.
Such a great group of people over there. Everybody behind the gates, and again, thank you so much for coming on. It means the world to me, and we got to have it back on soon. Hopefully everything gets better. And I just have one question for you.
I'm broke.
What is one piece of advice you can give somebody that is struggling through this tough time right now?
Okay. Be creative. Write. Sing. Art. Don't let this time pass you by. Don't even give into like, we're not going to make it. We are people. All of our families had to struggle to get to where they got to, and we're their dreams. So we have to just think about that. Continue to keep on keeping on. There were always going to be dark days, one way or the other. But hang in there. Hang in there. Don't give up. Do what you have to do. Work together. I see the faces of the kids in the school, and they with their little mask on, and I can see the smiles behind that, because deep inside they have love for who they are and for what they're doing. So don't give up. Don't give in and don't give out.
Don't give in and don't give out.
Okay, just let go and let God. He'll take care of everything.
And thank you for this hat, by the way. I love it. I thank you so much. And it's again, next time we're going to have some jerk chicken. We're going to have...
hot going in, hot coming out.
Yeah. Oh, man. Thank you all for tuning in to episode 7 of From the Office here with Donald Hyman. To learn more about what Donald does, we'll provide a couple of links as well, and just stay tuned, because on February 14th, Donald will be performing, and we will give you more information when that time comes.
The winter concert series out of Schenectady, and it's going to be televised. And I'm gonna wear 2 tuxedos, not just one.
That's right, not just one, but 2 tuxedos.
2 tuxedos.
Thank you guys so much. You can listen to it on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Facebook, live on YouTube, and